We are previewing AEW World's End. It is Wrestling Uncensored. Is the world ending? Tune in and find out. I mean, when they're promoting it as World's End, John, you know?
Well, the world ended last year too, and we're still around, so don't worry about it.
That's right.
We'll survive.
They did have World's End last year. It's kind of like WCW's World War III. It was just a battle royal. No one died.
They had Armageddon. Remember WWE before 9/11 happened?
Correct.
We had Armageddon, yeah.
Yep.
We survived.
Mm-hmm. I think we'll survive World's End. I'm actually looking forward to it. It looks good. AEW World's End going down tomorrow night in Orlando, Florida. Should be good. We'll preview it. Let me run down the card. What the hell? Let's go right into it, John. What am I wasting time for? Mercedes Moné defending the AEW TBS Championship against Chris Statlander. Konosuke Takeshita defending the AEW International Championship against Powerhouse Hobbs. Mariah May defending her AEW Women's Championship against Thunder Rosa in a Tijuana street fight. MJF defending the AEW Dynamite Diamond Ring against Adam Cole. John Moxley, the AEW World Champion, defending in a Fatal 4-Way against Orange Cassidy, Hangman, Adam Page, and Jay White. Kazuchika Okada taking on Rick O'Shea in a Continental Classic semifinal, and Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher in the other semifinal, and the winners of those matches will face each other later that night in the final, which is exciting. We've seen this whole tournament play out over a number of weeks. We saw some matches of major consequence take place on Dynamite this week. It's been a fun tournament. Johnny, I don't remember who I predicted to win anything. You usually have a good memory for these things. Were we right? Were we wrong? I don't know.
Well, fortunately for you, at the last minute, you changed your pick because you had, I think, Ricochet and Darby Allin. But at the last minute, you decided, oh, wait a minute, it makes more sense to have Will Ospreay on the pay-per-view. So you did change it. So you did have it all correct in the end. Do your last-minute selection there, realizing, yes, Ospreay is the right choice. So good for you.
Yes. Disappointed Darby's not on this pay-per-view. Darby's great.
Well, honestly, I thought watching it, I'm like, Darby's probably going to win it, actually. Like, the way it was going, I was like, yeah, that's the one thing I probably messed up, because I'm like, it makes a lot of sense for Darby here, like, the way it was going, but he just barely didn't make it. The draw made sense, but yeah, it's too bad for Darby. But, I mean, he'll be fine in the end. He's going to get... They're building up for the world title eventually anyways.
Darby needed the win over Ricochet on Dynamite to make it to the pay-per-view, make it to the semifinals, but it went to a draw, which allowed Ricochet enough points to secure his spot in the semifinals and actually win the Gold League in his first Continental Classic. Coming into AEW in his first year, wins one of the groups.
Pretty good, not too bad. I mean, I don't know about you. I know, again, you think he's a loser. You think his wife, Samantha Irvin's a loser for some reason.
I don't think that at all. That's not true. None of these things are true.
You did, if you look it up, Dave Simon's history on Twitter, or X, he has said that on X, actually.
It was a joke because of the Red Sox. It was a joke about the Boston Red Sox more than anything, John, and you know this.
Unprovoked on Ricochet. It was only Samantha she wore the jersey. Ricochet, there was no need for that. But regardless, I'm loving the new heel persona that he's doing. I thought he got great heat. Like, I know you don't probably watch Collision, but I thought he got fantastic heat at the Hammerstein Ballroom when he wrestled Ospreay. And you probably saw a little bit of it, but it was taped Dynamite this week. Like you saw how vocal they were Saturday live when there was a lot more toilet paper that they threw at him. And I feel like there was a lot more FU ricochets that they couldn't censor because it wasn't taped this time around. A lot of heat. I think the Ricochet character is working now. He has a character. He's not just Mr. High Flyer. He's Mr. I'm a jerk and a high flyer.
Yeah, he's supremely annoying. It's working very well for him. I like it. I like what he's doing. I'm entertained by Ricochet in this new character. I don't think he's going to win the whole thing. I don't think he's going to wind up winning. I don't even know if he wins his match against Okada. Like I don't think he does.
It's not impossible though. I mean, is that not also a good match too? Because he beat Ospreay on Collision, so Ospreay should get his revenge for that too. No, it could work either way. If you really look at it.
But haven't Ricochet and Ospreay wrestled enough so far in AEW? They've done, what, 2 matches already?
I guess 2 singles and a triple threat so far, yeah. Makes sense, yeah. That's what's been. But I think it's a match they're going to do quite a bit, though. That's only regular match so far. I'm sure they're going to add stipulation matches, too.
Have they done Okada Ospreay in AEW?
No, they definitely haven't done that yet. So, yeah, yeah, and that's the big match, right? Because that was one of the best matches ever. So it makes sense.
It seems like the match to make.
It's what I'm hoping for. And yeah, that's pretty much what I would predict as well. But again, it's AEW. Just because that's the way we're thinking, they could go completely different direction with it. And I can understand it. I think it's Ricochet has shown that, yeah, they should push him. He should go all the way with it, too.
I think Okada's going to win the whole thing.
Wow, really?
Yeah. I think it's going to be Okada and Kyle Fletcher in the finals. I think Fletcher's going to beat Ospreay again.
Really?
And Ricochet's going to lose to Okada. And then Okada's going to get the win back over Kyle Fletcher. The win that he lost there in the Continental Classic. And he's going to win the whole thing because it's Kazuchika Okada. He's the best. He should win. Looking at all 4 guys, he's... I mean, as great as Will Ospreay is, I think people are really underestimating the greatness of Okada. I think AEW has given you little bits of Okada here and there, but we really haven't seen the full breadth of the capabilities of Kazuchika Okada. And I think that, we're going to see him shine tomorrow night. We're going to see him have 2 incredible matches. I would prefer it to be against Will Ospreay because I think that match would be, that would be the match to see. It'll be a lot of fun. But I think story-wise, you want to keep pushing Kyle Fletcher. They're doing something with him. Getting the win over Ospreay again on pay-per-view would really cement him as a legit player in AEW. Losing to Ospreay here for Kyle Fletcher sends him right back down to where he was. Kyle Fletcher is only up here because he beat Ospreay on pay-per-view. But if he loses to Ospreay on pay-per-view, then he's back to square one, which is right back down the ladder where he was, which is not really that much of an impact player in AEW. He became an impact player in AEW. He became a guy you take seriously because he beat Ospreay. But if he loses to Ospreay, the next time you see him in like a big spot on pay-per-view, then he goes back down. You go, oh, well, that was just a fluke. He's not really a guy to take seriously. Send him back down the pecking order with whoever else. And that's kind of what AEW does a lot of the times. They fail to cement people. They failed to really make people. I was upset when Kyle Fletcher beat Ospreay on pay-per-view because they were kind of rising Ospreay up, and now Ospreay's kind of lost a few matches, so I see like, okay, well maybe they're putting Ospreay on kind of a cool down period before they heat him back up. And that's fine. But if you're going to do that, don't do this 50-50 booking where Fletcher all of a sudden is cooling down when he's only been hot for a minute. I really don't think it'd be a good idea to have Fletcher lose to Ospreay here. So I'm hoping that they put Fletcher over, even though I think Ospreay and Okada would be a great match, you know? What do you think? Ospreay Fletcher first before we tackle Okada and Ricochet.
Well, just your idea of the whole like Fletcher, I'm just like I don't think a loss really hurts him that much because he got so many big wins, not just over Ospreay, but in the tournament as well. Like you said, he beat Okada. Like he got the most points on anybody in the whole tournament in both brackets. Like I think he looks strong no matter what happens here. And if he just barely beats or Ospreay barely beats him, I don't think that hurts him. And then, by the way, then it's 1-1. So you're still even with arguably the best wrestler in AEW. Not bad. And you still have him losing anyways. You're talking about 50-50 booking. Like, you just have him to lose to Okada in the end. So it feels like he's at the same place no matter what in terms of where you're thinking like that. So
no, because
I don't think.
No, John, because losing to Okada and losing to Ospreay are two different things for Kyle Fletcher. Losing to Okada is like a guy he doesn't really have a history with. He's also a heel. It's kind of like weird, whatever. It's fine. Losing to Ospreay, like Ospreay and Fletcher are going to be linked together for the rest of their careers.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
He's his nemesis. So if he loses to the nemesis after Fletcher has gotten hot and had some wins that you talk about after beating Ospreay. Like the Ospreay thing was the linchpin for everything that's happened since for Fletcher over like a month. It's not really been a long period of time. And now he finds himself again with Ospreay, and if he loses, it's kind of like, oh well, it was just, a month of on fire Kyle Fletcher, but that's just whatever. Brush it aside. That's going to be the feeling, man. I'm telling you. That's how I'm going to feel. It's like, oh, well, he was serious for a minute, but then they kind of cooled him down, and he lost to Ospreay in the end. Ospreay got the win back, so who cares? But with Okada, it's kind of like it was a shock that he even beat him. It was on Collision. And I think the bigger story with Okada is that he's the master of tournaments. He is the Continental Champion going in. So if you have him lose, I mean, he's losing the belt. And then where does Okada fit in? Because I think we're gearing Okada up for something big with Kenny, possibly, when Kenny comes back. So don't you want to have him kind of elevated for that? Maybe a belt on the line? I'm just looking for what's next for Okada, considering they have so much invested in him. I feel like he really should win this whole tournament more than anybody else. They should kind of keep going with him and keep pushing him because there's so much value there that's kind of been untapped. Why would you not have him win? It's Okada.
Well, I think that's the one thing we both agree on for sure. Like, we have him in the final match. He beats Ricochet. We can both agree on that. That's going to happen.
Okay.
It's just when he gets... And, you could be right. Like, they might just give it to Okada. That makes a lot of sense. They very well could do that. I just feel... And I just look at the rest of the card, the way it shapes up. More than likely, you're having a heel champion win the night. So I think you got to give the fans something to be happy about. Ospreay winning a title, I think that will make up for a lot of negativity at the end of the night. So that's the way I kind of balance things out.
Okay. AEW's gone very negative this year. The endings of
Well,
their
we've seen
pay-per-views, everything has gone very negative.
Well, it depends how you look at it. I mean, you thought the ending of Bryan Danielson was negative. I mean, I thought that was fantastic. Again, because
You were in the minority of fans, though, John. You got to admit that. Most people were kind of like, oh, God, it was horrible.
No, but I love that you would do something like that. Like, you don't usually see something like that. So something so like, wow, one-sided, and the heels just completely destroyed him, and like it looked like ended his career forever. Like, wow, and you end the show like that? Wow, that's impressive to pull that off, because you rarely see that anymore. So that's why I enjoyed that, just for more of the shock of how that all went down.
It was shocking.
I know it to make you happy, but
Yeah. So you're not sure whether it's going to be Fletcher or Ospreay. Do you have a pick there? Do you think it's going to be Ospreay and Ospreay winning over Okada?
yeah, I got Ospreay winning. I mean, again, you make a lot of sense too about Fletcher, but I think they're going to give it to Ospreay. Ospreay, you have to remember too, like he barely got in there. Like it looked like he wasn't going to make it, and he just got it. Like he was actually tied with points with a bunch of people, I think, but because of tiebreakers, he just got in.
Yeah, Fletcher did just get in. It was between him or Daniel Garcia. Whoever won that Dynamite main event was going to gather up enough points to go to the pay-per-view, and they went with Fletcher over Garcia, which I thought was interesting. You know, two guys similar points in their careers, similar spots in AEW, and they went with Fletcher over Daniel Garcia. Didn't they just sign Garcia to some new contract?
Well, he is already the TNT champion. Does he need another championship? I don't think so. I think he'll be more than fine. Like if you look at all the matches, though, every match was like high stakes because everyone had a chance, every match to possibly go on and advance. Like, I think except Commander, but even that match was huge because Commander was the one that knocked out Claudio. Because Claudio was going to, I think, have the most points. But because Commander beat him, shut him out.
Yes, Commander beating Claudio made it so that Ospreay could advance. Because Ospreay and Claudio had the same amount of points, but because Ospreay beat Claudio during the tournament, Ospreay moves on and Claudio doesn't. I think they both finished with 9.
Right. So I mean, that was huge. Like, every match was kind of a big match. Like that was really neat how that all came together on the final episode before the pay-per-view.
Yes, this tournament was very well booked.
Yeah, I got to give him a lot of credit for that. Except maybe Commander and Mortos. Like everyone was very close.
Yeah, even Briscoe at the end.
Yep, even he was in it for quite a bit. Benjamin too.
Yes.
All the way to the end.
All the way to the end. That match with Okada on Dynamite I thought was very good. I enjoyed that.
Highly enjoyable. And again, I think Hammerstein Ballroom, they should do that more often. Just make sure it's live because like I definitely felt the Collision atmosphere was far better because they didn't edit out the crowd so much because the crowd very vulgar in New York. They speak very freely about how they feel about certain individuals they don't like. And taped, you're not going to get to hear that energy, sadly.
Also, that Darby Allin Ricochet match, we should mention, was fantastic. Very good.
Well, Ricochet finally pulled off the 630 there. So that was pretty impressive.
Yes. Angelo Contagona says, Happy Hanukkah, Dave. Happy Hanukkah back to you, Angelo. Happy New Year and Merry Christmas to everybody celebrating all the things. Shout out Leor, Angelo on the chat. Members over at join.ringsidereport.net, join.ringsidereport.net. Leor says, AEW needs to stop with these tournaments that don't matter. Now, normally I'd agree with you, but I think this is the one tournament that works with AEW. I'm not a big fan of the Owen Hart Cup tournament because you just win a belt that is there. But the Continental Classic, I like the way it's designed. I like the point system. I thought this year they pulled it off very nicely. I don't hate the Continental Classic, John. I remember enjoying it last year, and I enjoyed it again this year. It's fun.
Well, last year was fun because we saw a lot of those matches live, so it was fun just how it all kind of came together. And again, like they put usually decent wrestlers in there that it's like, wow, like you're interested to see what these matches are going to be like when they happen. And again, like a lot of it was close and highly entertaining. So I have no problem with this. And if anything, it's different. So I'd rather something instead of the usual tournaments over and over again. I thought the Owen Hart thing was actually better this year because you had something on the line this year. Like both the winners went on to get title shots at All In.
That's true. They did improve on the tournament this year. They made it worth something. Question from the chat. Alex wants to know, are you guys watching TNA Wrestling on Sportsnet January 2nd? I laugh because they lost WWE, because WWE in Canada and internationally is going to Netflix, SmackDown, Raw, everything. Just Raw in the States, but in Canada and everywhere else, all of WWE programming is moving to Netflix in the new year. So to replace their wrestling programming, I guess, Sportsnet from WWE, they now have TNA Wrestling, which is a drop-off for them, for sure. And I'm going to say no, I will not be watching TNA Wrestling on Sportsnet. I may be able to cancel cable entirely without WWE. I don't really need TV. So everything on Netflix is fine by me. TNA Wrestling is not a reason to keep cable TV around, I'll tell you that much. And even having the channel, I don't think I'd watch it. I think I could probably watch TNA Wrestling now, and I choose not to. I just, I'd rather watch Collision. I saw the commercial for TNA Wrestling. You see the highlights of the people involved. I'm not interested.
I can understand that. Like, again, we watch a lot of wrestling already. So I can understand, like, why would you want to watch even more wrestling? For me, it's more of a personal issue because I know from people that have been extras there that they treat their extras like garbage. And to me, it's highly unprofessional the way they treat a lot of the people that work there. I know a lot of those people too. So I take it personally, and I think TNA is a garbage promotion, scumbag promotion. And I will not invest any money into TNA wrestling whatsoever.
This is a turn of events, John. You got to tell me the story. I'm going to guess it's not fit for the show. We can't talk about it.
I don't want to, name people that told me these stories because, I don't want to get them heat. Like, yeah. I'll take the burden for it. But this didn't happen to me, but I heard what they told me and all this, and I was absolutely disgusted the way TNA treated a lot of the people there as extras. Basically, apparently working them so hard that they couldn't work for 2 or 3 days afterwards. And no compensation whatsoever. No money, no food for all the work that they put in. And they were dead tired. Couldn't go to work, actually, because of how hard TNA Wrestling put them to work. So,
what kind of work?
Well, setting up the ring, setting up all the chairs and all that, putting everything away and all that stuff too. And making sure everyone's security as well, standing there. Just a bunch of stuff,
So they get you to do extra work in the hopes of getting a contract, but really they're just getting free labor and sending you home with your broken dreams and broken back.
They did with quite a few people, actually, sadly, yeah.
This is a story that's been repeated from many. It's more than one person has gone through this?
Yeah, sadly, yeah. So, yeah, personally, I think TNA sucks. And it sucks, too, because I think Tommy Dreamer, he's part of the staff that works at TNA, and I like Tommy. I've met Tommy, wrestled Tommy. And honestly, if I met Tommy again, I'm like, sorry, Tommy, I think we have to step outside for a little bit. We have to talk. Yeah, it's that bad. It's that bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, that's my shoot, I guess, or my more airing of grievances that I didn't get to air last week, I guess.
I like it. I like it.
There
Well,
you
if it's
go.
true, man, you got to tell it like it is. And, it's not like I was going to watch TNA to begin with, but I'll watch it even less now. How about that?
Even less, it's
I'll
better. Yeah.
definitely not watch it. Sorry, Dolph Ziggler. I'm not watching you, whatever your name is in TNA. Zolf Diegler or whatever.
I think it's Nick Nemeth. Like, he just goes by his actual name, but yeah.
Yeah, which is a great wrestling name anyways. I don't know why they changed it to begin with. His real name is Nick Nemeth, which sounds great. Why change that? Let's give him a goofy name, Dolph Ziggler. That's good.
I mean, he got that over, though. I mean, I give him credit for that. It's a silly name, but got it over.
Mm-hmm. Made it seem like just a normal name after a while. I remember when I first heard it thinking, what? Anyhow, back to this AEW thing, John. So we have, it depends, right? I have Okada and Fletcher in the finals and Okada winning, and you have Okada and Ospreay in the finals and Ospreay winning. Correct?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about the Fatal 4-Way? Jon Moxley defending the AEW World Championship against Orange Cassidy, Hangman, Adam Page, and Jay White.
I feel like they've kind of given this away already because they have an event coming up, Maximum Carnage, which feels like it's going to be very much a Death Rider heavy kind of event from the sounds of it. So, yeah, I think Mox is winning. Also, they're hyping a thing against FTR in January 1st, right? So it's not over here for the Death Riders.
Yeah, and that Maximum Carnage episode of Dynamite taking place January 15th is in Jon Moxley's hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio.
There you
Imagine
go.
that.
Oh.
Right?
It's going to be his time for a while, I think. I think maybe a Grand Slam he could lose it, depending who he's wrestling, but it's going to be a bit. That's a prediction, by the way. Not a spoiler, prediction.
Yeah, I think Moxley is definitely holding on to the belt for the match tomorrow. Moxley and his whole crew attacked Commander after Commander beat Claudio on Dynamite. And then Orange Cassidy and Jay White, they came out and they tried to help. But then Hangman came out. And Hangman felt like the real deal. This match, I feel like, would be better served if it were just Hangman versus Moxley. Jay White and Orange Cassidy seem like they're just in the way. When Moxley and Hangman are standing there staring at each other, it's like, oh, okay. Business is about to pick up. When Cassidy and Jay White just kind of standing there to the side, you go, what are you guys doing there? You lost? Are you in this match? I'm waiting for Hangman versus Moxley, which I don't know if we're ever actually heading towards, but that feels like the move. I don't know why we're not headed in that type of direction. Orange and Jay White there, I think they're going to wind up being the reason why Hangman does not win. Moxley's going to pin one of those guys. Or those guys will get in Hangman's way and do so. It's... I don't know. I feel like we're wasting time a little bit.
Well, yes and no, because there was something that happened on Dynamite where Christopher Daniels came up to Hangman saying, like, if he needed help, that he was there for him, despite all their issues. So something's going on there. So I could see Hangman continuing to feud with Moxley. So I'm not sure where that's going exactly. So if anyone's going to continue to feud with Moxley, I could see it being Hangman.
Mm-hmm. I hope you're right. Because Hangman, he's the main deal, right? He's the main eventer there.
I mean, if Kenny comes back, it kind of changes things a little bit. I could, you could put Kenny really anywhere if you think about it. So
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be, and even someone like Edge too coming back. A lot of guys like they're coming back. Like boom, boom, you can throw them right in there with Moxley.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. But Moxley's been doing this stuff with Orange Cassidy for a while. Since the Bryan Danielson stuff, since he won the belt, he's been feuding with Orange, and it's kind of like, could we get to the big boys? Could we get to the main event for Moxley? Is it really all about taking out Orange Cassidy? Is he the big problem with AEW? I feel like Moxley, he's got to be wrestling guys like Hangman in one-on-one matches, Swerve in one-on-one matches, Okada, big matches. The main event scene is just kind of mid.
Well, they just have to realign guys, and you can tell things are coming to an end, so they'll fix it up a little bit too. I mean, we're gonna talk about other guys too later on. It's like I feel they should be in the main event scene soon. So
Yeah.
we'll see after this pay-per-view how it all shakes out. Exactly. Yeah, that's the guy I was kind of referring to.
This guy,
That you're referring.
my man,
Happy Gilmore too, guy.
Maxwell Jacob Friedman. So Moxley's going to win this match. What do you think the finish is? Does he win with interference? Does he win just with some sort of DDT thing? What's the deal?
Like the DT, whatever, the paradox shift, whatever. Yeah, but there'll be a boatload of shenanigans, and there'll be a lot of things happening in this match. But in the end, he'll find a way to walk away as still the champion, still the title in the briefcase, I think.
Yeah. May even do a post-match assault on everybody.
Maybe someone will get run over. Who knows? We'll wait and see what happens. I mean, they had a crazy ending in the last pay-per-view, so you almost expect another crazy ending, right?
Yep. MJF versus Adam Cole the Baby. Does MJF finally lose the AEW Dynamite Diamond Ring? I would say no.
Yeah, I'd say no, too. I think the Undisputed Kingdom is going to turn on Adam Cole. And then that'll be Cole's thing going forward, is to do that. And then MJF can finally move on. It'll finally be over for him.
It's enough. He called him a small yellow child. He made fun of Britt Baker not being with him anymore. He's ended Adam Cole. He's destroyed him. It's time to beat him and move on.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I agree. And it'll be a pretty good match, though. I probably might be the opening match, too, I think.
Maybe. It'll be good because MJF is in it, and MJF is the best. He's so good. Incredible.
Well, he's someone who should be like in the world title scene eventually soon as well. So that's kind of why you kind of want the title off Moxley, so then MJF can get a title shot. But maybe make it a three-way. I mean, if he needs to be involved, like you find a reason to get him involved.
Get him involved. Give him the belt. He's the greatest world champion in AEW history. Let's keep the party going. What are we doing here? Give him his second reign. He's the king of AEW. He's the king of pro wrestling. He's the number one guy. He's MJF. What are we waiting for? Like, really, what are we waiting for? Give the king his crown, man. He's the number one guy. They gave him a shot. He ran with it. He killed it. Broke his neck. Got hurt. Came back. He'll deal with this Adam Cole stuff, but then, let's not waste too much time. We don't have to give Moxley a nice long run for no reason. Let's just put MJF back on top. He can feud with Ospreay and Okada and Kenny and Moxley and whatever. Just put him on top. Well, what are we waiting for? He's the best guy on the microphone, in the ring. He's got everything. He's signed to some sort of deal with AEW for a couple years at least. He's the best. The show's better when he's the champion, when he's running the show, when he's on the show. Give him the show. I just, AEW right now is in this weird spot, and it's just not working. They thought Danielson will leave, and we'll give Moxley the belt and give him a lot of time on the show because he'll right the ship. He'll be a steady force. And how's that working for him?
Well, they relied on their history. Because think about it. When they were ever in trouble or felt like they needed to switch the title, it was always the guy who's won the title more times than anyone. It was always Moxley. He's always been the guy. So he's kind of their reliable thing. Is whenever there's a problem, whenever something goes awry, put it on Moxley.
Cool. Well, MJF is back. He filmed the movie. He's ready to go. Give him the belt. Thanks, John. Thanks for holding the belt warm. It's time. Transitional champion. Move it along. This jabroni-ass group he's got. Come on. It's enough.
I think next year, 2025, his big thing is going to be feuding with Swerve, I think. I think that could see a couple pay-per-views, I think, that match.
Cool. Give the belt back to Swerve. Swerve's fantastic.
Yeah, that'll probably happen eventually, too. I mean, that might be a feud for the championship.
I don't know why Moxley has to be at the center of all this stuff.
Well, it's like the promos say, right? He's the one that knows how to make it hard on everyone, and no one knows how it is, but he'll make sure everyone knows how it is. This is what it takes to be a real fighter and all this stuff. And I know you're going to make a lot of insults about his fighting, but still, that's the story they're presenting us.
Yeah, but come on, nobody's buying it. Nobody's buying it.
I mean, I think you need Danielson to come back, though. For this to end, Danielson needs to come back. Not to have the match, but at least, cost him maybe the championship or get involved in some capacity. Because I feel that's the true end of the story. I think that has to be the match at All In, no? Moxley and Danielson. Not for the title. That's a long reign. But, that's what the end game of this all should be.
If he can wrestle.
I think he's going to wrestle again. He showed up at their All In presser, right? He's taking photos. He's all happy and all this. He's still alive. He didn't die.
Well, we know he didn't die. But, I don't know. Maybe he will wrestle next year. Him and Moxley make sense. I mean, the revenge match obviously makes sense, what they did to him. But I don't know when that'll take place. All In makes a lot of sense as far as a venue because it's their biggest show. They're advertising it now. It's next July. They're promoting the hell out of it because they're trying to sell a bunch of tickets in a baseball stadium. I don't know if Moxley holds the belt until next July, but he might.
Long.
He might.
I don't think he needs to. That's very long, but
I agree.
You never know.
Mm-hmm. All right. How about Mariah May defending the AEW Women's World Championship against Thunder Rosa in a Tijuana street fight? I think Mariah's going to win this. I think it'll be a good match, but I think Mariah wins. I don't think Mariah loses until she circles back to Toni Storm, who is back and completely lost her mind. She's forgotten she was ever in AEW, and she's like a rookie, and it's pretty good. I'm enjoying what Toni Storm is doing. She's funny.
Well, when's their next pay-per-view? It's going to be in February, and it'll be in Australia, right? So I think they're building that up for Toni, right? So Toni and Mariah, that's probably going to be the match. So for that to happen, Mariah has to get through Thunder Rosa, who I think was a great champion, and they're slowly building her up again. But this match is kind of coming out of nowhere, and it'll be a good showing, I think, for Thunder Rosa. But like you said, I think Mariah's going to win.
AEW Grand Slam Australia, February 15th. Toni Storm versus Mariah May would make a lot of sense for that one, Johnny. Yeah, so Mariah should win this one. Konosuke Takeshita versus Powerhouse Hobbs. International championship on the line. I think Takeshita wins. I mean, whatever. This match is... Does this have to be on pay-per-view? Like, what's the point?
I think it could be a good match. So we've seen them in tag matches a couple of times. Like, it's not bad. I don't think Hobbs has lost since he came back. So I think for his first loss, it should be on pay-per-view.
I'm not so interested. That's the one I'm least interested in. And Mercedes Moné versus Chris Statlander. It's the rematch for the TBS Championship. Is this where Statlander takes it?
I mean, this came out of nowhere, right? So maybe, because if I'm not mistaken, the following week, I think Mercedes has to wrestle Mina in Japan for the New Japan Strong title.
Mm-hmm.
So, she doesn't need to be the TBS champ. Maybe, it's not impossible. I'm going to go with Mercedes, but I'm not 100% on that one. Like, I could be wrong. I feel like it's a 50-50 kind of thing right there, but I'll go with Mercedes.
I'm going with Statlander. I think this match came out of nowhere for some odd reason, and it's to put the belt on Statlander. This feels like when Private Party won the tag belts from the Young Bucks. They lost to them on pay-per-view, and then a few weeks later they wrestled them again on TV, and they beat them for the belts. It was kind of like a tester match. Maybe Mercedes and Statlander, they had that great match, and stuff happened, and then they made decisions where, all right, let's move the belt to Statlander. I think Statlander's winning. This match happening here, like you said, it's really out of nowhere. It's weird. When they do that, it's usually because they're doing a title change and they just need to make it happen. Right? It's not like they built to anything. They're just like, ooh, we need to take the belt off Mercedes. How do we do that? Well, let's just book her against Statlander. That was a good match. Statlander's good. We like her. Give her the belt for now, and then we'll see. Right? It's kind of how booking goes sometimes.
I mean, that's your title change for the show, so, I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I'm not going with it, but I get it.
Well, you're not booking a title change. Oh, no, you are, right? You're booking Ospreay beating Okada for that belt, right?
For the Continental, yeah.
Right. And I am predicting Statlander as a title change. So there you go. We have some different picks for AEW All Out in Forever World's End.
Yeah. The All-In Double
and
or
it's
Nothing
only
World's End Spectacular.
Yeah, the World's End Spectacular. It's only an 8-match card, John. Does that mean it's not going to be a 6-hour show?
Are you up to date on this stuff? Because I'm sure, like Rampage, they probably added at least 3 matches for the buy-in, probably.
I'm refreshing. I only have 8 matches.
Okay. All right. Well, you never know. Last minute, I feel like once we finish these preview shows, there's always like 2 or 3 matches added that we never covered because it just added last minute all the time. Probably going to happen again. I mean, 8's enough. I don't know about you. I think. Like we're saying 11:30, I think, on the video tomorrow. More towards midnight, I think, but still 8 matches. I think 8's fine.
Knowing AEW shows, right? They usually last forever, these pay-per-views.
So that's why you want 8, not like 12, 13 matches. Like 8's more than enough.
Yes. Even 8, I think, is too many. I would cut a couple. I would cut Takeshita and Hobbs. And Mariah and Thunder. Because, like, do it on Dynamite. There's no feud there. There's no heat. There's no build. It's just a match.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Mariah and Thunder, that's the only stipulation match, right?
Yeah, but there's no reason for it.
Well, they've slowly built up Thunder. And, like, she kind of won in those like, every time when she ended her feud, like, she'd have that kind of match. So, this is, like, her match where if she's going to win, it'd be this kind of match. She's not going to, but I get it. I get why they're doing this.
So there you go. That's AEW World's End, Johnny. How about that?
No, I'm actually somewhat excited for this again because you've been following the Continental Classic and interested to see how this all ends up. And again, I think there might be some decent matches on the show. Should be a decent pay per view. And got to give them credit because, like, I think I said last week or the week before that attendance wise, I didn't think they'd be able to do that well, but they maybe did like 1,000 or so less than WWE is doing for their live events. That's not bad considering like WWE with their name alone, they're doing very good business. So, I mean, the fact that there's going to be like 13,000, not in one building, but 13,000 people watching wrestling just there alone in Orlando is quite impressive.
So 13,000. WWE's getting more people for their house show. WWE running a live event house show, non-televised show, tomorrow in Orlando at the same time that AEW running their pay-per-view in Orlando. If I were a wrestling fan, I'd be going to World's End without a doubt because, you know, it's a pay-per-view.
Yeah, but I remember like you were all excited for like CM Punk showing up, so I'm sure that's for a lot of people too. Like, oh, you get Punk on a show and all this. And you see all the craziness they do at house shows, so always a special, fun kind of time. There are special events, those kind of things. So, and you know, a lot of people love the WWE like form of entertainment. Some people AEW like it might be too violent for them.
That's true. Also, you could record the AEW show. WWE show is not going to be on TV. You could see both if you go to WWE show. Can't see both if you go to AEW.
Great point. You know, it's for a more mature audience. I feel AEW.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of a rough move by WWE doing that, though, right? They did that on purpose.
Off 100%. I mean, you know, it's a cutthroat business.
Yeah.
So, you know, cut them as soon as you can.
It's quite something. AEW not really talking about it either.
I think in the end, you're not going to see something like this, or maybe they plan ahead and make sure like they announce their pay-per-view well ahead of time. Make sure that wouldn't happen.
It's interesting. Interesting turn of events here as the world ends in professional wrestling.
Huh.
WWE did a show in Florida tonight. It was in Tampa. It was SmackDown. It absolutely sucked. It wasn't good.
It's a rough week. It's a rough week in WWE. As we said, they kind of phoned it in now until next week, so, or maybe even the week after.
Yeah. Well, next week, SmackDown is on Netflix here, right?
3 hours.
Right. But in the States, the Netflix deal only kicks in the following Monday for the Raw.
So yeah, they have it on the USA Network. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Raw on Netflix, January 6th in Los Angeles. Big show. The Rock's got to be there. He's got to.
Well, they have a lot already said for it. I mean, they don't 100% need him, but I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't get mad about it because, I mean, Roman versus Solo, it kind of makes a lot of sense.
They got Roman versus Solo. They got Seth versus Punk. Anything else?
They've announced the last woman standing match between Rhea and Liv.
Right.
The women's world title, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great. Is that going to be it for them? Could we wrap up that whole Rhea Liv thing with 2024? Oh, I guess it'll be in 2025 at that point. But, like, when is that going to end? It seems to be going on forever.
Yeah, it's dragged. I mean, the injuries probably hurt a lot, too. That didn't help a lot. But also, like, the weekly booking has also been kind of rough to watch. Like, the last 3 weeks, they have interactions, and it's just them staring at each other. Maybe do a promo with each other, just staring at each other again, and nothing happening. And when you have weeks of nothing happening, it's just like, when will this end? You want it to end.
That's it. You're just like, all right, can we get on with it already? Do it or don't. Move on. We did
They're
get
at a
something out
snail's
of
pace.
what?
So they're at a snail's pace right now, so you got to be patient.
We did get something out of SmackDown though tonight, right? We got a match for the Royal Rumble.
That's a great match too. I'm very much looking forward to it now.
Yes, Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes in a ladder match, where I'm guessing both titles will be suspended above the ring. The Winged Eagle belt that Kevin Owens is claiming as the World Championship, and then Cody's WWE Championship.
Yes, and I guess I have to make a retraction about last week. 2 retractions, because I said Kevin would defend his title in house shows. He clarified that statement, saying he was representing himself as the champion, but refused to defend the title. So, make that. And I also said that him versus Triple H wouldn't be special WrestleMania, which is kind of dumb that I said that, because, I mean, that would be very special to happen. I just don't think we need to go backwards again and bring in more people from the past. We're doing enough with The Rock. We don't need to bring back Triple H.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree, but it wouldn't be a big deal. So Kevin and Cody did a promo at the end of SmackDown with Nick Aldis, and in the end, we got a ladder match. Nick Aldis was telling Kevin to give the belt back or he'd be fired, and Cody said, no, don't fire him. Kevin Owens wanted a rematch, so Nick Aldis made it a ladder match at the Royal Rumble, which is cool. I like that. The Bloodline attacking Braun Strowman on SmackDown as well. Braun Strowman getting involved with Solo and the boys. Sami Zayn wrestling Carmelo Hayes. The Bloodline attacking Sami. Carmelo just kind of running away. And then Braun Strowman getting beat up as he tried to save Sami. Tried to attack Carmelo. But then Carmelo escaped and Braun got beat up by the Bloodline with Sami. Interesting turn.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's going to lead to some sort of tag match, or like maybe add Jay or Jimmy involved with Braun, possibly against like the new Bloodline, something like that going down.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, you have to do it because Roman's not going to be like, we're getting the rare, Roman finally wrestling like in 3 or 4 years, finally on Raw match.
Mm-hmm.
But on SmackDown, I don't see him wrestling on SmackDown anytime soon. So you need someone to fill that spot. I think Braun's there to fill that spot.
Are they starting to form new opponents for Solo and the guys because Roman is going to be moving over to Raw and Solo is going to be staying on SmackDown?
I could very well see that. And Sammy might more likely move to SmackDown.
Right. So it'll be like a coalition of Sami Zayn and Braun Strowman and some other baby faces against Solo and the rest of the heels as just another group with Roman off doing something else.
Like, I'm not expecting a lot of shifts, but that's the big one anyways. I think probably that. You might even see someone like, I would have said actually Punk, but no, Punk probably won't leave Netflix. But like another decently named star probably goes off Raw to SmackDown just to help balance it out more, because it's 3 hours. They're only going to need a lot more talent on SmackDown, I think, because 3 hours, that's a lot to fill.
I agree with you, but I think this Raw on Netflix is going to be talent heavy. I think it's going to be big name heavy for the WWE. It's going to be Cody. It's going to be Roman. It's going to be Punk. It's going to be, the marquee names. And then SmackDown's going to get leftovers for 3 hours on Friday nights.
Oof. Okay. That's rough to say. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. Cody's probably going to do both shows, right? Cody's a workhorse. He'll do everything, I think.
No, I think Gunther's moving to Friday nights.
Oh, yeah? Huh.
Yeah.
Well,
Nick Aldis was having, meetings with him, no?
Well, I mean, he had meetings with a bunch of people. Didn't Pierce as well have meetings with people? And
I think Nick Aldis. I think Gunther's moving over. That's my guess.
Yeah. Why not? Change of pace too. I mean, what else is he really doing there? Like besides maybe that match with like Seth or Punk afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
there's not much else for him. I think.
Cody is the A champion. It's the A belt. It was on the A show, SmackDown, because SmackDown was on Fox. SmackDown's not on Fox anymore. SmackDown was on Fox. Raw was on the USA Network. Raw was the B show. It had become the B show. SmackDown was the A show. Okay?
Mm.
Now, Raw now on Netflix, SmackDown on the USA Network, totally different. So,
well,
I feel like we're going to get the main stars, the main belts, everything on Raw now. Cody, Roman, all this stuff. Like, there's a reason why they're having all these discussions on Raw and SmackDown with Nick Aldis and, Adam Pearce. It's because they're going to do another draft type thing. And it's going to come really soon, John, like next week.
is it a draft or is it just them doing a shuffle kind of thing?
Yeah, it's a shuffle.
Yeah.
What do they call it? It's like a period, right? It's like the transition period or something. It's like a window, transfer window.
Did they call it that actually? I thought
Yeah, they said it on SmackDown tonight. They're like, oh, we're in the transfer window. It's like, well, what does that mean? People are making trade. It's just they're moving the stars to Raw is what that means because Netflix is coming on January 6th. Come on, man. You don't see this?
It's just funny the lingo because they're trying to be more like sports lingo wise, the transfer window like that. It's just funny.
But it's just obvious what they're doing. All the big stars are going over to Raw. Transfer window. See, Angelo knows. I see another guy complaining, and it's like, whoa, how come you guys are talking about wrestling and not MMA? We do MMA on Thursday nights, but we're just off for a little bit of a Christmas break. There's no UFC until UFC Vegas, January 11th. And we do wrestling every Friday nights, man. I don't know. I don't know where you've been at. He doesn't like pro wrestling. A lot of MMA people are like, oh, wrestling's fake. Why do you watch that? It's like, yeah, well, you got to understand, pro wrestling is predetermined, but it's very athletic and very difficult, and everybody involved is super tough. MMA is cool. A lot of people in MMA love pro wrestling. A lot of pro wrestling fans love MMA. A lot of pro wrestlers love MMA, and vice versa. There's a lot of crossover. There's a lot of connection. Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey, Sakuraba, Ken Shamrock. I mean, the list goes on and on of MMA guys going into pro wrestling and pro wrestlers going into MMA successfully, like Brock Lesnar and Sakuraba and Ken Shamrock, who were pro wrestlers before they were MMA champions. So, little respect for pro wrestling. A lot of very tough, very skilled, very dangerous people have been involved in pro wrestling throughout the years. Before MMA existed, pro wrestling is where the toughest of the tough went. Where do you think a Olympic level amateur wrestler went when his amateur career was done before the UFC to make money? He would either coach or become a pro wrestler. He would travel the world and, work matches. You going to call them fake? How about Kurt Angle? You know what I mean? Guy's an Olympic gold medalist. Gable Steveson, Olympic gold medalist, tried to do pro wrestling, failed miserably, and now he's trying to do MMA. We'll see if that works for him. I think he'd have an easier time. Pro wrestling is not easy. It's not to be taken lightly. I don't like when people disparage pro wrestling on the chat. I don't like that. I got to stand up for pro wrestling. Mixed martial arts is great. Martial arts are great. I love jiu-jitsu. I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. I love practicing martial arts. I think it's great. I'm not a pro wrestler, but I appreciate the art. I think it's great. Johnny's a pro wrestler. I'm a martial artist. And we converge on the Ringside Report Network. It's all peace and love here. Peace and love in combat sports.
You have ring announced pro wrestling before in the past, though.
I have done ring announcing for pro wrestling. Yes, that's true. I've been involved in MMA. I've been involved in pro wrestling. I've been involved in all sorts of different things throughout the years, Johnny. My illustrious career in the combat sports world that spans nearly 20 years at this point. Seen it all, done it all, been there, done that. From Chuck Liddell and Hoist Gracie to Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels. They've all been on the Ringside Report. There we go. And that's okay if you're not a fan of pro wrestling, and it's okay if you're not a fan of MMA. I'm not a fan of hockey, and I know a lot of my friends love hockey. Johnny loves hockey. Look at him with his Canadians banner behind him. You think I'm mad that he likes hockey? You think I'm going to go, Johnny, why do you like that? It's fake. You know, I'm not going to say that. Because it's not fake, as far as I know. I will say, Johnny, why do you like that? It's so boring. But he doesn't find it boring. You know, he finds it entertaining. He loves it. He eats it up. I love baseball. I love the Yankees. A lot of people go, why do you watch that? It's so boring. A lot of MMA people, a lot of people at jiu-jitsu, I talk to them about the Yankees. You know, they're bored as hell. They don't watch baseball. They're like, how do you watch that stuff? So boring. I go, have you watched jiu-jitsu, guys? These guys watch jiu-jitsu all day. I'm like, have you seen, like, gi jiu-jitsu sometimes? You're like, you know, it's some of the matches are super entertaining. Some of them are not. Guys looking for a takedown for like 10 minutes. Doesn't happen. One guy pulls guard. Wins on points. Cool. I'd rather watch baseball. You know what I mean? It's just, teach his own. I'm not going to disparage anybody for what they like. But a lot of people feel like they can just go and take shots at pro wrestling. Like, whoa, why do you like that? It's stupid. It's fake. It's da-da-da, this and that. A lot of people take shots at MMA, too. Like, how can you like that? It's so violent. Da-da-da. It's like, all right, well, it's not for you. How do you like what you like? Yeah.
You have taken shots at football before in the past. I know Angelo got kind of mad at you for that during the Super Bowl, if not mistaken.
I said football was fake.
Yeah, Angelo wasn't happy about that.
Well, it's a joke that I guess he didn't think was funny. Not all my jokes are going to work. I don't think football is fake. You know?
Well, during the Super Bowl, I think you thought the Super Bowl was fake because Kansas City won.
It did feel a bit like a work. It felt kind of like, well, this is all supposed to happen, isn't it? You know, it's like, well, this is a nice story to tell. If you were going to tell the story of the Super Bowl that year, that would be the story you would tell in a movie. You know?
It doesn't always happen like that. It just, they were the right team at the right time.
Yeah. With the right pop star who happens to be the most famous one on the planet or whatever. Dating the player or whatever on the team. You know, it all came together really nicely. You know? But that Mahomes guy, he's winning all the time. He's like the Tom Brady of his day, so why wouldn't he win? That's all I was saying. I was like, yeah, he's going to win. He's Mahomes. He always wins. People are like, no. Not this year. I was like, I don't know. They said that about Tom Brady, and he just kept winning, didn't he? You get a good quarterback, you get a team that's a dynasty, it's like, yeah, chances are they're going to win. And then when they're losing, people are like, oh, look, see? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I think they're going to win. I think it's all a work. And then they turn it around, and I'm like, see? It's all fake. Told you. And then people are like, what? What do you mean it's fake? I'm like, well, come on. I'm playing around here, guys. I don't watch football. I watch one game a year. It's the Super Bowl. There was football on at my house because my in-laws were here watching football at Christmas on Netflix, and I was like, I kind of watched it, but it was so boring. I don't know. It's not for me. I was like, I used to watch football, but I can't do it anymore. It takes so long. I think MMA has spoiled me for all sports because MMA is so great, man. It's just the action comes at you so fast. There's no messing around. The UFC's pacing is so great. I mean, once in a while, pay-per-view, they're going to run too many video package between fights, but usually they keep the fights rolling. The fights are exciting. The action never stops. The NFL, I was watching it, and it's like, God damn, they blow the whistle every minute. It's like they run 2 plays, and then it's a whistle, and then they go to the desk, and then they come back, and it's like 2 more plays, and then they go away again. And it's like, you can't sit down and really get into the game because it's constant breaks. I don't enjoy it. I like baseball because you could sit down, you could watch the whole inning. There's no commercials in an inning unless they're changing pitchers, but that's not happening, you know? You're sitting there, you watch an inning, you watch a half inning, commercial break, 2 minutes, come back, watch another half inning. Football, it's like you can't sit there and just watch the game because the game just constantly stops. It's too start and stop for me. I get distracted I couldn't focus on the game. You know what I mean? Because I had no rooting interest, so I was just like, you sit there, you watch like a play, you're like, oh, cool, nice catch. And you're like, all right. Because then it takes forever for the next play to happen. You're just like, all right, what else is going on? I'm easily distracted. I'm just like, nope, what? What's happening? I can't stay focused on the game. There's too much stopping in the action. Whereas, with MMA, it's just like, there's no stopping in the action unless somebody gets kicked in the balls or poked in the eyes, Then they only get 5 minutes. I know there's this, it's... And you get to watch them pace around, like wincing because their balls hurt. They jump around, they do that whole thing, That's a trick I learned, John. You get hit in the balls, you're supposed to hop around in place. I don't know if you knew that, but Herb Dean always tells him to do that shit. He's like, hop around. Hop around. And they hop. Doesn't seem to help.
Well, I'm glad we got to air the Dave Simon grievances for the year. I'm glad we got that off.
I don't have grievances. I just don't watch football. It happened to be on in my house, right? Like, it's not something I watch, usually, because why would I? It's, But it happened to be on, and I tried to watch it, and I failed. I was like, nah, can't do it.
Well, it's like Angelo said. It's not everyone's cup of tea. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not going to say, ooh, why would you watch this? How dare you? I just go, well, I tried. It's not for me, guys. Once in a while, I try to watch football. I try to get into it, and I just go, what else is on? I'm just like, oof, there's a rerun of Seinfeld on this other channel. I'd watch that. That sounds good. And I watch that, and it's hilarious. Heard of this guy Kramer? Funny. They got this guy George Costanza, this little guy with the bald head. Oh, man. He gets into it. Let me tell you. The hijinks.
Well, I know for the Super Bowl, you'll have your comments regardless. You'll still watch that anyways.
Ooh, I'm going to watch the Super Bowl because Kendrick Lamar is performing at halftime. I watched Beyonce's performance at the halftime of the game. I didn't watch any of the game. I couldn't tell you who played. Houston? The Houston Texans played. I know that because it was in Houston because that's where Beyonce's from. I don't know who they played. I have no idea. I know the first game was Pittsburgh and Kansas City because I saw that it was in Pittsburgh.
Right.
And CM Punk happened to go there, and I was laughing because they made Punk go to cold-ass Pittsburgh on Christmas to promote Netflix, which I thought was hilarious. So I know that. So it was the Steelers and the Chiefs, because I know it was the Chiefs, because, the Chiefs are like the best team in football and have been for several years now. I know enough about that. I know enough to know that. And the Chiefs had like this crazy record. They're like 15-1 or something, 14-1, because they show you their record at the bottom of the screen the whole game, and I was like, ooh, it's a good record. I know they only play about 17 games, so 14-1 is like near perfect. Who beat the Chiefs? Do you know?
I think it was the Bills, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh, the Bills must be good.
I mean, they're all right. I mean, if anyone could beat them, it's going to be them, I think.
If anybody could beat the Chiefs, it'll be the Bills, you're saying? Or anybody could beat the Bills, it'd be the Chiefs.
Well, if anyone could beat themselves, it would be the Bills and the Chiefs, right? Because some teams just self-destruct in a sense, so beat themselves.
Don't want to beat yourself. Make them make the mistakes. Make them beat you. The Buffalo Bills. Well, I'm rooting for the Detroit Lions because my buddy, the big youngster, is a big Lions fan. He lives out in Detroit, so shout out to the Lions. How they doing? Still good? Big youngster told me they're doing well.
No, they'll definitely make the playoffs, I think, Detroit. Will they go all the way is a great question, though. So I don't know. The Eagles are pretty decent, too, so they got some tough treading to go still, I think.
All right. Anything else happening in WWE you want to talk about? Because it was pretty mid this week. They did nothing. Nothing happened on SmackDown tonight.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, I mean, the ladder match got... that's pretty much it,
yeah,
right?
The ladder match got announced. The Street Profits... You know what's really annoying about SmackDown is that there are 2 mystery attacks that they're investigating.
I was just going to say that. So true.
What the hell is it? So the Street Profits were attacked a few weeks ago, apparently, and now they're trying to figure out who it was?
And they don't know, apparently. Someone else has to tell them, because apparently they don't know who attacked them.
They don't know who attacked. 2 men were attacked, and they don't know by whom. Also, Jade Cargill was attacked, and they're still trying to figure out who it was. Nia Jax thinks it might have been Bianca herself. People are saying it's Bayley. People are saying it's Naomi. No one knows who attacked Jade Cargill. Nia's saying it wasn't her. Tiffy Time is saying it wasn't her. Candice LeRae hasn't said much. I don't know, but I don't think it's her.
No security cameras.
No security
cameras don't work.
John. So they're investigating the attack of Jade Cargill. No evidence there. They still don't know. And they're investigating the attack. They're investigating the attack on the Street Profits. Now, the Street Profits, they were almost getting to the bottom of it. They were there. They were confronting the DIY, and they were like, we think it was you guys. And then the Pretty Deadly showed up, and I was like, ooh, Pretty Deadly. And they're like, oh, it was, we know who attacked you. And then Nick Aldis is like, yeah, who was it? And they're like, we need some money for our musical we're putting on. And he's like, how about you tell me or you're fired? And they're like, all right, it was Gar. And then you saw Gargano and Ciampa give them kind of a mean look. And then they said Garza. I think they were going to say Gargano, but they got scared. I think they knew it was DIY, but they were scared to say it because they were right in front of them. So they said it was Garza instead. And then Street Profits went and attacked Garza and Carrillo, and then they had a match, and then they beat them. And then they're backstage later, and they're told by, I think Apollo Crews just showed up for some reason. And he's like, no, these guys are lying to you, these Pretty Deadly boys. It wasn't Garza and Carrillo. It was actually the DIY, the guys you thought it was. It was them. And they're like, oh, those guys. And they didn't go to attack them immediately for some reason.
Because they were talking to the Motor City Machine Guns.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Motor City Machine Guns showed up, and they're like, whoa, hold on. DIY, they took the belts from us. If anybody's going to get DIY, it's going to be us, Motor City Machine Guns. And then the Street Profits were like, no! Right? That's basically what happened.
I can tell you're loving the tag team division on SmackDown. And Raw probably, too. Yeah, it's not a lot of fun, sadly. The match was okay, though. It wasn't a bad match. I like that double grille press they did. The Garzas did. Or Los Garzas did.
The Garzas. Garza 1 and Garza 2. Yeah.
But yeah, the grille press they did to Montez was pretty good. Some okay moments there. But yeah, nothing really special. And it's kind of the same thing over and over again with this, sadly. I'm not too big into the tag team matches, but it's what they have to work with. They don't have much to work with, sadly.
Yep. We're just waiting for January 6th, John. We're just waiting for the Netflix debut for WWE to actually kick into some real stuff and give us some real action, right? It's kind of a lull. Calm before the storm.
the New Day thing was all right. They edited it sadly because Raw was taped this week, so they took out the best part, which I think would have been fantastic. You could tell when the audio kind of went kind of haywire because Kofi like introduced his mom, and the crowd booed when that happened, but because they decided to play with the audio, that didn't happen. Apparently, they were like booing, heckling his mom, and they edited that out. And then his mom like left, and they actually did cheer her, and that was legit. That was good. That's why they should have kept that in there. Whatever. Like I think at least with New Day, they got to keep putting them on television. Not there's just little like, oh, we don't like you guys. Like, that stupid thing like they did with Dom, like that doesn't do anything. That's just lame. Like what they did in the ring, that was great.
They're so mean. Even Kofi's mother hates him.
Yeah. Who cares about Dom? But Kofi's mom, that's good. That's good heat.
New Day's gone evil. It's working.
Good, and like they'll be the tag team champions. Like it's gonna happen. Like they'll make the tag team division interesting again.
Yeah, them as the tag team champions on Raw makes Raw a lot more solid. It's a better show with them, kind of a new look as the tag champs. The New Day, they're, one of, if not the greatest tag team of all time. And they've got something here. They got to run with it. They got to run with it hard. You know what I mean? Like, they got to go really hard with it. Because it's something, and they're really talented, and they can go somewhere with it.
And they're not stale anymore. To me, that's what's kind of hurting Natty right now. I don't know if you caught Natty's match, but Natty's just caught in that stupid loop again where she's like, oh, like, I'm going to fight against this. Like, I may have been here a long time, but I still want a chance. I deserve opportunity. How many years has that been where that's been her story? It just feels like it just repeats over and over again. And it's an amazing accomplishment how long she's lasted, because especially in women's wrestling, they don't usually last that long. So the fact that Natty has lasted, it's been like 15 years, it feels like, maybe more. That's incredible. But sadly, she's very stale, and like she shouldn't advance in the IC title picture. Like it made more sense that Io would advance. I'd rather see Io at this point than Natty.
And Natty did advance?
No, Natty got pinned.
Io advanced. Sorry, Io, right?
Yeah. Terrible finish too. Like Natty hit like a German, I think, on Fire, and then Io hit the moonsault, and like Natty just stayed down, perfectly in position too. By the way, after the German suplex, I'm like, what a horrific finish this was. But that's what they did.
Yep. All of Raw seems stale.
It was a tape show too, though. So like,
yeah,
they're usually always bad shows in the tape.
Well, tonight's SmackDown was live and it was bad.
They're in the phone in, sadly. Like you didn't like the 6-woman tag, I guess.
It was all right.
Yeah, that's it. It was all right. It wasn't bad. It wasn't like I was offended watching it, so that's good.
It's just how many times is Tiffy time gonna tease cashing in Money in the Bank, and that costs them the match, and that leads to the finish? It's like, I've seen that all before. Cash in or don't.
I guess there's a little bit of progression because she actually said like she wanted to cash in. Like, so now it's not just like she's thinking about it. It's like, no, she really wants to win the title, and like it's gonna happen, right? Like you've been saying for a while, it's gonna be with Nia, but I think they wanted to fully make her a baby face, and they're pretty much on their way with that too. Like you could kind of tell she's truly becoming a baby face to this point. Like with the reaction, the fact that she had her entrance by herself, and then Nia made fun of her in the promo, like they are well on their way for this to happen.
But she's been saying she wants to take the belt from Nia since Crown Jewel.
Well, no, but then she'd take it back, though, and saying, like, oh, I didn't mean that. I just want to throw it off kind of thing.
But, like, that's so dumb. Take it back. And nobody believes you're taking it back. You know? Come on. It's just, it's dragged, right? It's taking too long.
Well, they figured out more than likely when this is going to happen. And maybe this has to tie in with Charlotte coming back. Or maybe with Asuka coming back. I don't know if it's tying with all the, maybe Jade come back. Maybe they're waiting for something to happen. So there's gonna be a special moment for it to happen.
They
Maybe
just didn't hang in the period of like Tiffy would never ever even dream of cashing in on Nia. They didn't sit in that realm for long enough where Tiffy and Nia were actually getting along and really liked each other and were in sync. They were out of sync so quickly that it just now they're just together and out of sync, and it's just been kind of this together and out of sync for so long where you're just like, break up. Yeah. You know? They never had like a period of time where they were good together to the point where you're like, oh, I kind of believe them together. It lasted like 2 or 3 weeks.
In summer.
Yeah, but not much of the summer.
Oh, early summer, but still, like maybe July, mid-August, they were okay. And then after SummerSlam, it kind of went to crap.
Yeah. So we're talking about August. We're in almost January now, where they've clearly not been getting along, and it's just dragged on and on and on.
Yeah, it's the sad part with this kind of stuff right now. They're waiting for those big shows to happen. You know, maybe, hopefully, that's what's going to make that first 3-hour SmackDown special, is that maybe that's when she'll finally cash in. Because Nia does have a defense, right, next week against Naoma.
It's going to be is it the first SmackDown on USA?
Well, I heard, like, didn't Ryan write, he said it's going to be on YouTube, apparently, next week?
Oh, for us? It's not on Netflix yet.
So that'll be interesting.
Oh, it'll be on YouTube. And it'll be a 3-hour SmackDown, right?
Right.
The first 3-hour SmackDown, maybe they do something special, have a cash in. Maybe, John, maybe. I hope so. They need something. We'll be on next week, and we'll be watching the last hour of SmackDown, I guess, with all of you. And that's what we'll be doing from now on Friday nights. Coming on at 10, watching the first 2 hours of SmackDown, and then coming on and watching the final hour while we're on.
It'll be a new beginning.
Yeah. New year, new beginnings. And then next week we'll also do Best of the Year. Wrestler of the Year, Match of the Year, all that stuff. Johnny felt that it would be best to watch AEW World's End so we could really get all the wrestling of 2024 to evaluate and then look back on the year just at the beginning of next year, 2025, on our first show on January 3rd. 7 days from now.
Well, also because I think a lot of people have already set their this is the best of already. And, like, I'd have to watch back on a couple of those best ofs. Because I saw that people are saying the best promo of the year was the CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre promo. Not saying it was bad, but to say that was the best one, and that's why Drew McIntyre is the best promo of the year, I question that right away. Flag on the play. You remember that promo where, like, that's where Punk said, like, who named you the chosen one? Say his name. And Drew was, like, stuck. He couldn't say it. And he had that look in his eye, like, and he's the best promo of the year when he's stuck? Flag on the play. I don't agree with that.
I kind of remember that promo, but, like, promo of the year is tough, man. Nothing really stood out.
Oh, it's easy. Think about it.
Tell me. Help me.
Well, this is a good hint for you. Mama Rhodes.
Oh, yeah, anything The Rock did, for sure.
There you go.
Maybe one of those video promos that he did, you know?
Yes, exactly.
The unedited ones, those were the best.
When he went like that and all this, and I think the Cody Crybabies thing, like
Cody Crybabies. Ooh, yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, of course, promo of the year. Yeah, why would anyone even debate that? Yeah, The Rock stuff was the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything The Rock did was the best this year. Match of the year, Wrestler of the Year, Promo of the Year, Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Well, the tag match was definitely in the running, I would say. I mean, to me, that was my favorite WrestleMania match this year.
Yeah. maybe Mania match. WWE match of the year, I think we're in agreement. We've talked about it before. It's that Hell in a Cell. And we'll wait for the rest till next week.
That's it. No surprises for next week.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Thank you. Happy Hanukkah. It is night 3 of Hanukkah tonight.
Congrats.
So, congrats. Thank you. Thank you. Lit the candles tonight. Had a nice time enjoying Hanukkah. And that's it. Thank you. Hope everybody had a good Christmas. Happy New Year to you all. What?
Did you see the Happy Gilmore 2 trailer that came out?
No.
Oh, MJF was in it for like a split of a second.
Split second. I hope he's in the movie for longer than that.
I would think so. I think he's supposed to play like Adam Sandler's son in the movie, I think.
How much does he need his son, though, to be in the movie?
Well, I think maybe he's trying to teach him how to, play golf like he did.
You would hope.
I think that's that kind of thing, maybe.
Who knows how much FaceTime he's actually got in the movie. But I'm definitely going to watch it either way because I like Happy Gilmore 1. So,
Classic.
All right. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. We'll be back. I'm saying goodbye and Happy New Year to everybody, but I'm forgetting. We're going to be back tomorrow night after World's End. So, forget it.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
I take back my Happy New Year. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll wish you a Happy New Year tomorrow. Okay?
Yeah,
how about that? Right here on the Ringside Report Network.
Thanks for sticking with us to the end. We would really appreciate it if you could help us spread the word.
You know the drill. Hit that subscribe button. Flip those notification switches.
We are an audience-supported network, so consider becoming a recurring supporter at membership.ringsidereport.net. Check out our website at ringsidereport.net. Hope to see you again next